Hi, welcome to today's series. I'm filming this in the morning, so I'm doing it as a morning stretch release. Now, sometimes in the mornings we're not all that flexible, having spent our night curled up in bed. So these are just some little moves that we're going to do just to get your body warmed up and primed for the rest of your day. So instead of lying on our back, we're going to start on all fours. Just finding your shape with your hands underneath your shoulder line and your knees underneath your hip line. So we're going into a little movement of a curling and an arching. So we're going to round the tail under, turning your head down to look between the legs. And then send the tail towards the ceiling and feel like your chest bone slides along the mat and up the wall in front of you. Let me just repeat that nice and gentle. Like I said, first thing in the morning, your muscles are not all that well equipped to be doing lots of vigorous movement. They need some time to wake up, going into the arch. And then come back to find a neutral position. We're going to do a little wag of the tail. So you're going to send your tailbone towards the left and then look back towards that hip. So you shorten on the left and lengthen on the right, and then wag the tail to the opposite side. So when we're doing this, we're now doing what we normally say is to not shorten that space, but we are shortening the space because as we do movement through our daily activities, these actions are going to happen in the pelvis naturally. One more time as we wag to the other side, and then coming through the center. We're going to make like a circular movement. So we're going to go into the curled position, and then as you're coming out, we'll go towards the left side, looking back towards the tail, through into the arch, towards the right side, and then rounding yourself up. We'll go one more time in that direction, just getting a nice sort of circular action through the hips, through the shoulders, through the spine, and then pausing in the center, go the opposite way. So you'll find that one way goes a little smoother than the other. You may feel a little more coordinated through that. That's a very normal thing to experience. And then coming back through to your center line and then finding your neutral shape. From here, we're going to go into a little stretch of our legs. So extending one leg back onto the ball of the foot and give it a nice stretch through the calf and then bringing that foot back down and then switch to the other one. So I'm moving my body backward as I take my foot into the flex position. So I'm getting an extra stretch through the base of the calf area. And then one more time like that, stretching it out and in. Now, if you've got the capacity early in the morning, we're going to go for both. So both out they go. And what we're going to do is a little rock forward and backward and front and back. We'll just do two more. And last one. And then from there, let's just bend the knees, but send your hips to the ceiling and the chest towards your thighs, and then bring yourself forward again. And then we'll repeat that. If you need to, like I do, just bring your hands in a little closer, just to give you a bit more stretch through the spine, and then coming forward again. So unlike our curl and arch movement, I want us to stay as straight through the spine as possible. So at this stage, we're going to have those knees bent. And then forward. And then we're going to go up again and we're going to stay there. We're going to do a little walking out. So we're going to set one heel toward the floor for your stretch, rise up onto your toes, and then go the other foot down. So we're just getting a little pedaling of the legs out. So we had a stretch of the calf when our legs were in a plank position. Now we've got them in this sort of down dog shape. One more time to each side. And then from there, we'll come back down onto your knees and then just travel all the way over onto your tummy. So as we lie down onto the front, this movement of our back body to get up away from the floor can feel a little bit strenuous for some people. So just be mindful with that. Always, I like to give you options. You can put your hands under your forehead. You can take your arms wide. You can bring your hands at your side. I'm going to choose to have my hands just under my forehead for this first move. So just settling the body in, wiggle your pelvis side to side just so that you feel comfortable in your setup. And then just really feel the shoulders relaxing away from your ears. We're going to feel the top of the head just lifting away from the hands as though there was like a magnet between the two and you were sort of pulling the magnets apart and then bringing those magnets back to each other. So at the moment, my focus is not on back bending. My focus is of just lifting my head away from my hands. So this action is very good for our neck muscles, those muscles that are sometimes overly long in the front and overly short at the back because of the way we sort of tilt our heads nowadays. And we'll do that 2 more times, just raising the head away from the hands. As you do, you'll feel maybe the elbows sliding in a little bit if your hands are in the same position as mine, because the higher you come, the more the shoulders are going to want to pull down, and the shoulders, guess what, are connected to the arms, which are connected to the elbows. I think you get the picture. And then coming back again. So now we're going to come up into that lift of the head away, and then you're going to feel like you let your eye gaze look forward just to the front of your mat surface, or maybe like one size of your foot away from the edge of your hands, and then lowering yourself back down again. So we begin just the pressing of the head upward first, then the looking forward. So we've got a little bit of movement in your upper spine, and then coming down. Now these moves are so targeted for your upper body that you should not feel gripping in your lower body, so your glutes are not squeezing, you've not got tense legs. Everything's pretty easy down from sort of the mid-back and low towards the feet. One last time as we bring our spine just into this little lifted shape, and then bringing it back down again. We're going to prop up onto your forearms position. So it's kind of like a Sphinx pose. So to begin with, again, we're going to go more of a diagonal line with your body, and then we're going to feel like you pull your shoulders, your elbows backwards, your palms feel like they're sliding towards your elbows, and then look forward toward the wall in front of you, and then return back to neutral. So just being up a little bit more, we've got some more strength in our upper body, and still going for that little curve in our upper spine. So a bit more work for your abdominal area now to hold you in this sort of semi-plank position. So if this is too much, of course, you can stay with the version we just did lying on the floor. And then that's our last one there. We're going to go for an arm stretch. This is one of my favorites. You're going to send your left arm forward and your right arm through, and then just looking down towards the ground. Now that's pretty intense for some people, so you could look underneath, and that'll be easier on your neck and shoulder area. You could then transfer to be looking through to the midline, and then if you're really looking for a good stretch, you can turn your head away so that it's looking over the right shoulder, and it may or may not touch the floor. And then we'll come up from there, and we'll just do the same to the other side. So thread the arm through the gap, and then starting to look underneath the arm as an option. And then standing with your head facing down towards the floor. And then final look is over the shoulder. Now that one is probably the most challenging for neck. So if your neck is not really happy, then I would stick with the head either looking under or the head staying centered. And then staying here, we're going to return to lying more on our front body. We're going to bend into one leg, and this is where we're going to grab the back of our foot. Now, if you can't get your foot, you're going to get something that you can. So wrap a towel around your foot and hold the towel. Grab a ring, grab a tie, a belt, anything that you can get the touching of your leg. So we're going to do a gentle drawing of that leg toward you, so the heel coming as close towards your thigh as you can, or towards your buttock as you can manage, and then just relaxing it out. And again, just stretching and releasing. So when we pull the heel towards the bottom, you don't want to then lift your bottom away from the floor. So you want to keep your pubic bone pressing down, feeling like you're staying very steady on the mat surface. All right, so we did 3 on there. We're going to do same leg, but change hands. So now the leg comes across the midline a little bit. You'll see your knee aims out a little to the side, and you're going to be feeling like you're pulling your foot towards your opposite butt cheek, and then release. And again, lowering it towards you, and releasing, and then one more time, drawing it in, and then releasing that out as gently as you feel you can. Just have a moment where you compare your 2 sides, and then when you're ready, we'll go again, side 2, same hand holding on, and immediately there's a difference, and I can tell you it's vast in my body. So as we're doing this, we're getting a stretch coming down the front of your right thigh if you're holding your right leg like I am, And then remember to just relax out of the pose every now and then. You don't want to just keep holding it in the burn state or the, uncomfortable place. You want to push it in, see where it's got, and then you want to relax it out, because each time you come in, you'll get a little bit more range. You might feel a little bit more secure in your movements. And then we're going to switch our hand position. So holding on with the other hand, so it's across the body. It's totally fine if that knee wants to travel out to the side and shift a little bit. Let that happen. You need to work with the anatomy that you have in your body. So again, drawing it towards the buttock, across from you, and then releasing. And then 2 more times, draw it in and out. And then last time, drawing it in and then releasing from there. All right, we're going to turn over just onto our back position. We're going to send our legs nice and wide. So if you're on a mat, you're going to take it as wide as your mat. If you're not on a mat, you're going to take it just a little bit wider than your shoulder position with your legs. Arms can move away from you, and then we're going to send both legs down towards one side, and you'll notice that your hip is going to lift away from the ground. We can turn our head to look down towards the opposite arm, and I'm not bothered whether you have your hands up or your hands down. Just do what feels comfortable for you. And then taking the legs across and over to the other side, turning your head in the opposite direction. So we're just getting this nice ringing out of our spine as we look from one way to the other. And then this easy sort of fluidy feeling in your body as you're taking your limbs one way and then taking them the other way. And then we're going to come back into the center, and we're just going to finish here with a little stretch of your glutes. So crossing over one leg, so ankle over thigh. Important that you try and get that ankle bone over the edge of your thigh bone. And then starting with the holding position of your thigh at the back of the thigh. So lacing the fingers is stage 1. And that might be just perfectly okay for you. If you need some support and you can't reach your leg, maybe put a few cushions under your foot so you can balance your foot on the cushions, or have a ball to rest your leg over, or use the wall. There are very many options you could use if this is a challenge. Then take the hands over the top of the shin area. So each time you change position, you're creating more depth in the stretch, and you're sort of giving it a little bit more weight. So it's going to add to the leg that's being stretched. And then my third and final one, which is really my absolute favorite, is to take my outside arm over the top and lace the fingers across the front of the shin. And that way the arm is just settled onto the leg, and it adds a little bit more work into my hip area. And then we're going to undo that, and we're going to start again on the other side. So crossing the ankle over your thigh, and then feeding the leg up, hands behind the back of the thigh. Now you could put your elbow into your knee and just give it a gentle nudge open. That's a suitable thing to do for sure. And then we can take it to hands over the top as another variation. So your two sides are 100% going to feel different. So start to really acknowledge what the differences are. You may not think it's different in the hip, but what happens to your head? Do you tilt your neck up? What's happening to your shoulders? There will be telltale signs all along. We take the outside arm over the top. Oh, this is so good. Like I say, first thing in the morning, your muscles are a little stiffer. So, if you're doing this at the end of the day, it's going to be as good, but you will probably not feel as intense through the moves. All right, and then resting your right foot or the last leg that you had crossed over onto the ground, we're going to take your hands behind the back of your thigh, and then keeping your thigh nice and close towards you, we're just going to stretch the leg toward the ceiling. Now, you're not going to straighten the leg, so don't worry about that. And then coming back, you're going to keep your thigh where it is against you as you attempt to straighten the leg. And that's really going to get the middle of your leg. So all the muscles that are attached there, believe it or not, everyone just thinks it's hamstrings, but all your adductors, your inner thigh muscles, are also in that same range. And then last one, then we're going to hold that leg there. We're going to point and flex through your ankle. So we'll do some ankle circles as well, going in both directions, and then you're going to release that one out. And then we'll lower that leg down all the way towards the floor, just giving it a bit of length. and then bringing it back up into a kneeling position. We'll take hold of the other leg, hand behind your thigh. Draw the thigh into where it's comfortable, but not where you sort of rolled your pelvis off and scrunched your neck. And then let's take it to the top as we stretch that leg and fold the leg. So again, you will be tempted to want to straighten the leg, I know, but try not to. Really see what could you have available to you. What is the stretch like when you just keep your thigh balanced where it is? We'll go for one more time as we reach that leg upward, and then holding there, we're pointing and flexing into your ankle. So getting a little bit of calf work and nerve work and footwork. It's all connected, and then circle around twice in each direction. And then we're going to lower that leg all the way down out onto the mat surface just to let it all flow through, and then bringing it back. We're going to do one more stretch here as we take a hold of our left leg again. This time you're going to grab underneath your thigh if you can with your elbow. If you can't, then you're just going to hold with your hand again. So with it hooked in the elbow, you're going to pull that leg over towards its underarm side. And then we're going to take the other knee and we're going to lower it toward the floor. So you've got a nice diagonal line between your knees. So very good for our inner thighs. This is a stretch that, many of us don't do, but like I said, the inner thighs, they make up a huge portion of our thigh muscle groups. So important that we give them a little bit of space for good pelvic positioning and health. And then we'll bring everything back, and then we're going to change legs. So again, hook the elbow or hold with your hand, and then pulling it off to the right side, and then opening the left knee. So as soon as you allow that left knee to open, everything feels balanced again, so that the two legs are, levers for the pelvis to stay in the center. Oh, I feel so good. And then we're going to bring it all the way back to the beginning, and we'll make ourselves up into a kneeling position again like we began. We've got one more move to do, and that is of our twist in our upper body. So my favorite twist to do here on all fours is thread the needle. So we're just going to send one arm through, and then we're going to reach that arm up towards the ceiling, looking high, and then again threading it through and lifting it up, and then bringing that hand down, and we'll go the other way. So stretch the arm through and under, and then raising the arm up, looking in the direction of the hand. So we're getting that full twist in both directions. And if twisting is not good for you, then just do your neck twisting. So I'll give you that as an option as well, just turning your head one way and turning your head the other way. So we'll just do that one more time to each direction. And then from there, we are ready to begin our day, all prepped and primed in your body. I hope you have a magnificent day. See you soon.